Good evening and welcome to day 5 of our daily wrap-up show, the Red Bull X-Alps 2023. My name is Tarquin Cooper and I'm standing in a small Italian village above the town of Sondrio, in the heart of the Sondrio Valley. Just 40 minutes ago, Kriegel, this whole area was surrounded by Team Switzerland 1. Kriegel was here. He had been in the hour for 9 hours and was hungrily eating a mouthful of pizza. Damien Lacaz has been in the air for over 10 hours, and it looked, when I last checked live tracking a few moments ago, that he was just coming into land, just next to his teammate Maxime Pinot. So it looks like the Frenchies have got in front of Kriegel Maurer. It's been an extraordinary day, stretching all the way from turn point 10, the Col de Petit Saint-Bernard, for these lead athletes, all the way here to the Sondrio Valley, a straight line distance of well over 200 kilometers. Now, this is the show where we try and unpick the day events, not just at the front, but across all the athletes. And to help me try and pick out the key stories of the day, I talked to Gavin McClurg earlier, and I began by asking him about the physical toll on athletes and who he thought were the key stories of the day. Hey Gavin, greetings from Lake Lugano.
You know, that's one of my favorite places. That's where I had my big breakout move in 2015. So I wish I could be with you, Tarquin.
Well, looking over the lake behind me, it looks like a fantastic place to go stand up paddleboarding. But the flying here is a little bit more complicated, isn't it? I mean,
It
you've got
really is.
airspace, you've got strong valley winds, you've got really complicated mountain terrain, and there's not an obvious line, is there?
There isn't. And, you know, in the races that we've had that have gone through that zone, there's always splits that happen. And we saw it today. Pal Tackett and Paul Guschelbauer, who have both been flying lights out. They were both first off from turn point 10 this morning. Of course, Kriegel and Maxime went through last night, but they both took off early and really pressed it. And then they went way up deep in underneath the Dufour Spitz and coming off Monte Rosa. And I thought they were going to take a northern line, and then they hucked south. And last I checked, Powell was about 3K behind Kriegel, who's taken the more traditional, deeper line to the north that avoids the airspace. But Powell's just flying right through and he just keeps doing these bold moves and more fantastic flying from the Hungarian.
Absolutely. Pal, actually, these mountains just behind me, he's literally only about 5 kilometers from where I am right now, which is really quite amazing, but no sign of him. He's just behind those hilltops. Paul Guschelbauer, I was thinking, didn't he do this route back in 2017 going the other way? And I look back on the on the mapping files, and it looks like he did cross Maggiore. And I had a thought, maybe he's trying to do the same thing in reverse, crossing over the lakes. But sadly, he's just landed. So that option has just shut down.
Yeah, I'll be really interested to find out when we talk to these guys, hopefully tomorrow, that did they take that line because they wanted to, or were they forced south? I know that they're dealing with quite a bit of north wind from Domodossola to the east, and it was picking up as the day went by. We didn't get the firm that we were really expecting, and the cloud base has been epic. I've seen a lot of 3,500, 3,600, so it's been yet another incredible distance day in the Red Bull X-Alps like we don't typically see. The stats are amazing. You know, we're seeing 1,200K in the air and 100K on the ground in day 5. It's just unbelievable. But what I think people don't really understand is that is also really taxing in another way, not the physically taxing that we're used to, but you know, these guys have been in the air 9, 10 today. I think we're going to see 11 hours in the air as we get closer to the solstice. We've got these really long days, very flyable days, but they're not easy. They're not just trucking through doing 300K. They're fighting, and we're really seeing the exhaustion start to add up and really start to make some of the strategy decisions pretty interesting, and some of the mistakes pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think Tongi Renault Good has had had such a great race, but the wheels came off a little bit yesterday, didn't they?
You know, he took off yesterday morning when we were up at the Nissan, Nissan turn point 8. in fourth place and really in a commanding position. And he looked strong and he was happy and he was ready to go. And when I saw him come in today at turn point 10, it was a completely different person. I really felt for he and his team. We've all been there and we've all experienced this, and it's just soul crushing. He left the Nissan, made the move into the Rhone, which a couple others did, and made it work, but he had to land and then hike and then fly and then land and then hike and then fly. And finally, last move of the day, Kriegel did this one year. He went down into Martigny, which is an incredibly windy place, and had to walk all the way into Chamonix. So when all those guys getting around to turn point 10 were just having an amazing flight last night, Tanguy was on the ground. And then even getting into turn point 10 today, it took him a few different flights. So you get to that point where you're really tired. You really start questioning your flying ability, even at that level. And it's really hard to fly the sky because you start thinking, what if I made a mistake? What if I make a mistake? What if I get on the ground again? I'm too tired. I don't want to walk. And that just tightens you up. And you just end up flying worse and worse and worse. And I could really see it on the poor guy's face. I just felt for him. I went over and gave him a hug and said, hey, it's an adventure race. Anything can happen. There's still a long way to go. Keep your head in it. Have fun. Just fly like you know how to fly. You're an awesome pilot, and it'll work out. It'll be okay. Other people will make mistakes. There might be airspace. You got to stay in this thing till the very end.
Yeah, it seemed Max Pinot wasn't having a good time either. Do you think fatigue was behind that? He wasn't able to get that glide into Aosta. He wasn't happy last night at all, to put it mildly. Then he pulled the night pass. Didn't really make much of it. He only got to within 20 kilometers of Kriegel. What was going on there, Gavin?
Well, this is the problem with the night passes. I mean, I love the change of the rules this year that they can call it at 8, but even then, strange things can happen. And when he called it, I'm sure he expected to be in a different position where he could either get a glide late at night. He wasn't able to get that. So then the walking option was all going to be down. It was just going to be, and that's miserable for anybody. And so I think he woke up this morning pretty frustrated, and we saw really two different things going on in the French teams. One with Maxime, I don't know if it was exhaustion or just huge frustration because he had a couple flights this morning that didn't really work out. Still very much in the game and he's racing hard. But the other French athlete, Tim Alongi, who has just been, he gets the style points all the way through the race so far. When Paul and Powell, left at Odark 100 this morning and raced up the mountain and did a flight off, Tim was camped right there and he was still all comfy in bed. When I came back down off top of the mountain, he was still in bed. And I think he just decided, you know what? To fly well, you've got to be well rested. And he had a nice rest. He had a great sleep. He went up later in the day. He waited for it to be on. And look at him. He's right in the front. He's been battling with right at the front of the pack in the top 5 all day. So Tom Dodorlano Tom Dodorlado and I just had a great flight together, and we were talking about that on the way up, is that, to fly well in this race, you've got to be rested. And so now we're battling a different kind of exhaustion. It's because these guys are flying so many hours all day, and you got to balance it out. And so we saw two very different tactics, and one worked really well today.
Gavin, that's been amazing. Thank you so much, as always, for your incredible insights in this extraordinary race. Just on the road here, I bumped into Werner Strittel, who is Paul Guschelbauer's supporter and has been for many years. And his face was just picture of exhaustion. And he just said, I've never seen a race so fast as this.
It's pretty, for the support teams, Tom Dodorlado just checked in at turn point 10. His team wasn't even there. He's flying so fast they couldn't even catch him. And so I think there's a lot of miles being put on by the support team and by the support teams, and not a lot of sleep for anybody.
Yeah, but I think the support teams all deserve, a massive shout out for the work they do. It's incredible. I was with Team Kriegel all today, and I have to say that team dynamic is working really well. This guy Lars Meerstetter, he's a Red Bull X-Alps athlete in the making. Don't be surprised to see him come back in 2025.
Yeah, and isn't Kriegel battling a pretty bad cold? I heard he has a bad cough. He not a great sleep.
I started hiking with him at 5 o'clock this morning, and he just didn't sound great. He's a little bit croaky. He's coughing, and the upshot of that is that he's not sleeping well. If the coughing is keeping him awake. But as he said, it's a challenge on top of a challenge, and if there's one thing that Kriegel can do, it's face down those challenges.
What's so exciting about this race is, we're at day 5, and usually by now we're just talking about Kriegel. Who's going to get second place and who's going to win this thing. I mean, the hammer is still down here. Who knows? It's just
Yeah,
amazing racing going on, and anything can happen. And it is every 15 minutes. Every time I think something's going to happen, I'm
exactly.
wrong. It's crazy.
I keep going back to live tracking and think, oh, here it is. Kriegel's made his move. And then suddenly you see Paul Takats has appeared. And then
Yeah,
Paul
he's
Guschelbauer,
right
where did
with
he
him.
appear from? I mean, the other thing to say about
Exactly.
Paul was that, that extraordinary run that he did yesterday took him from 12th place to 3rd place. And he tagged 5 turn points in a day. I mean, that's just nuts.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever happened in any X-Alps. It's the distances being covered are remarkable. And
Yeah.
when are these guys going to get in? It might be tomorrow night. We'll see.
Oh, Gavin, great talking to you. Thanks. Have a great afternoon. See you. Yeah. So I'm standing in this very remote hamlet here in above the Sondrio Valley, where just half an hour ago the whole circus was here, surrounded by Kriegel support vehicles all around, vans and everything. And then suddenly, just as quickly as they arrive, suddenly they're gone. But half an hour ago, across that skyline, there was a Frenchman, France 2, Damien Lacaze, flying across that ridge. And it's quite an extraordinary day for Damien Lacaze. Really, he's such an amazing athlete and having such a great race. It's just an extraordinary performance, flying all the way from turn point 10, the Col de Petit Saint-Bernard. And yesterday, the day before, he had an even more extraordinary route. And we've shared that, so do look at that. He took us a different line, as Gavin and I talked about earlier, a completely different line. So there are quite a few updates since Gavin and I last spoke, not least several penalties and yellow cards that have been issued to athletes. Lennart Oblak from Slovenia gets a 12-hour penalty for airspace infringement near St. Moritz. He thought the airspace was open but didn't understand the rules fully, that this airspace was not active, it was being closed for all athletes, so he misunderstood that rule. He also gets a yellow card because his supporter failed to update the organisation that he was fit to fly. This is a new rule. Someone else who fell foul of that rule was Nick Danini from Italy. He got a yellow card for exactly the same reason. Kinga Mastalitz from New Zealand also gets a yellow card. She was benighted on the mountain. She spent a night alone. That's not why she's been given a yellow card. It was for being completely incommunicado. For a couple of hours, the race organisation was quite concerned for her, and she's been issued a yellow card for failing to update them on her on her well-being, to let them know that she was okay. And the last person to get a penalty is Patrick von Kernel, who infringed the airspace of Locarno, a notoriously difficult region, as we just heard. He gets a 6-hour penalty, only 6 hours because he just touched it by a few meters. Lastly, tomorrow morning is the mandatory elimination of the last placed athlete, and the last 2 athletes currently at the back are Laurie Genevieve and Jungming Song from China. They have both pulled night passes, so of course they can't hike through the night. We're going to be denied that battle. They've just got until 11 p.m. to go as far as they can to avoid elimination. So that leaves us with the leaderboard as of about 5 minutes ago. In 10th place, we have Tommy Friedrich. 9th, it's Paul Guschelbauer. And 8th place, Simon Oberrauner. Seems like all the Austrians are sticking together. Aaron Duragatti in 7th place. Tim Alongi in 6th. Patrick von Kennel in 5th place. Paul Takats in 4th. And in 3rd place is Kriegel Maurer. And the 2 athletes up front who just flew over his head just an hour ago. Damien Lacaze currently in 2nd, with Maxime Pinot in pole position. That's it from us tonight. Thank you and good night.